Like we were saying in preparation for Shana, you want to get in the preparation for Shana Yom Kippur. So we're going to address Teshuva, the idea of Teshuva, getting into some of the basic ideas, the concept of Teshuva, and spending a couple of weeks to develop these ideas. So like I said, what I wanted to do, I wanted to address what to me is one of the most difficult halachos of Teshuva to understand, hashkafically speaking. In other words, okay, let's just take a step back. What is Teshuva? What's the whole concept of Teshuva? It's just, so this is an idea we've discussed here a lot of times. I want to use this just as like an introduction, not to spend, the whole shiur on this, but basically we've discussed before this idea that the Ramchal writes in the Sefer Tomer. He writes that din, judgment, we know Hashem is perfect in judgment. Hashem's judgment is exact and 100% on the mark. So then how could it be that there could be rachamim? How could it be that we could plead to Hashem to be kind to us in judgment? If we say Hashem is judgment and He's the ultimate judge and the absolute strictest judge, so where is there room to plead for rachamim? Where is there room to say, Hashem, please forgive me? What do you mean forgive me? I did this, I deserve to get punished for it. Where is there a makom? So this is what
there's another question.
That
if Hashem knows everything, then he knew I'm going to sin. So where's my?
Okay, that's a much bigger.
That's not fair. David Price is not here.
That's
not fair that you should say that.
Bechira can only be discussed in the presence of David Price
only.
That's for sure. That's for sure a very broad topic. Just specifically when it comes to this one point. So the Mesilas Yesharim writes like this. He says that strict judgment would demand three things, right? Three things. Number one, it would demand that the payment would be immediate, right? The second the person did something wrong, it would be an immediate payment. Number two, that the payment would be complete all at once, right? In other words, that let's say a person did, let's just take simply, right? The Torah tells us an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? And these things. So we know that the halacha is that really you have to pay money, right? If I knock out a person's eyes, I have to pay money. But we've also mentioned this in the past in the shiurim that's true, but it's only half true. Really, it is an eye for an eye. Really, if a person knocks out somebody's eye, they really owe an eye, and if they don't pay it back in this world in money, they're going to come back as a gilgul and get an eye knocked out as an animal or a person, or in this lifetime they're going to have terrible suffering in their eyes, whatever it is. The Torah gives us it out. It gives us the opportunity to pay money so that we don't have to suffer an eye for an eye. But really, an eye for an eye is the way that it goes, right? So that means a person knocks out somebody's eye, so he has an eye's worth of debt now that has to get paid back. So according to strict judgment, two things would happen. Number one, it would be immediate. The second that the person did it, the payback would happen. Number two, it would be complete, all in one shot. All that was owed would be paid up right away. And number three, there would be no way out. There would be no escape route. There'd be no plan B. And the Ramchal writes that what Rachamim does is it affects all three of these points. What Rachamim does, it affects three. Number one is it gives us time. Right? Hashem is Erech HaPayim. Hashem gives us time, and when a person does an Aveira, it's not immediate. Right? A person flips on a switch on Shabbos, Chas v'Shalom, they don't see a light of bolting, shoot out, and a bolt of lightning shoot out and kill it. Right? Hashem gives a person time, and it happens to be that this midah of giving time, it causes all of our kashas, right? All of our questions, because then when we get the patch, we don't realize what it was for. And we say, hey God, why are you patching me? Why me? And it's only because He gave me a delay, maybe of lifetimes even, right? Maybe of, but Hashem, that's number one, is that the rachamim of Hashem pushes off the payment. And again, most of our kashas...
But the payment still stands.
The payment still stands. It's still there, but it gets pushed off. But again, it's just an important point that most kashas of emunah come from this chesed of Hashem. I don't want to get into that now, but that's a very powerful hashkafic statement, right? Most kashas of emunah come from Erech HaPayim. Hashem, the fact that we don't see the cause and effect right now, Hashem gives us time, and then it doesn't make sense to us. Okay, anyway, that's number one. Rachamim, as Hashem pushes it off. Number two is He doesn't collect it all in one shot. right? That person, ayin tachas ayin, who took out that person's eye and now deserves an eye, right? So din would be they should lose the eye completely, right? Rachamim is that the person over the course of a lifetime will suffer, 100 pains in their eye or injuries or who knows what in their eye, and over a lifetime that will all equal out what would have been the suffering of one eye getting knocked out. That's also rachamim that does not contradict din. Right, because it's still getting paid back, but it's getting paid back over time, right? If I owe you $1,000, and so if you demand the money up front right away, all 1,000, that's very difficult. That's very hard. Yeah, but if you let me pay you back, a nickel a day, 5 cents a day, 10 cents here, 5 cents there, 10 cents there, it's very, very easy. I barely even feel like I'm paying it back, and yet at the end of the day, you're paid back, right? So that Hashem operates that way also. He collects his debts from us spread out over time. We've spoken about this before. I told you guys I get canker sores, these types of things, arthritis and pains. And I think about this, I can have a pain that goes on for 10 days, 11 days, and it's very, very painful. And all these things. But I think about it like, obviously all of that pain is coming my way, right? And could you imagine if that was compacted into one day or into an hour? Like, it would be overwhelming. Some people do, right? That's Rahman al-San. People suffer terrible, terrible things in this world. That's we always have to appreciate the suffering that we are given in the doses that we're given it, because that's exactly what the Ramchal is writing. Is that's also part of the Rachamim. Is that yes, we do pay back, but A, we're given more time, and B, we're allowed to pay it out in doses and not in one shot, and that's much easier for us to handle. And 3, finally, the Ramchal says, is the concept of tshuva. The concept of tshuva, the concept that Hashem allows the way that he puts it is the akiras haratzon, the undoing, the uprooting of my desire for that mitzvah, for that avera, equals akiras hamaisa. It lets it undo the action. Right? The fact that Hashem allows my going through something emotionally in my mind, thinking about my avera, and regretting my avera and feeling bad about my avera, and then expressing it to Hashem with vidui and saying, Hashem, chatasi avisi poshati lefnecha, so that Hashem allows that process to undo the avera. That's also a function of rachamim, that works together with din. Right? In other words, it's not a freebie.
What's that connected? What's the third one?
Because if it would only be din, there would be no way out. There'd be no plan B. There'd be no escape route. There'd be no, whatever we did, and there'd be no way ever to change it or to make it up or to take it away. The fact that Hashem allows the process, the mechanism of tshuva to undo my averas, so that's also rachamim.
Are the 3 separate?
Well, they're all intertwined. You kind of need each one. In other words, without the time, so you wouldn't be able to get paid out in small doses, and you wouldn't have an opportunity for tshuva, right? Without tshuva, so then what would the time help? You would. I guess you could pay it out over more time. But sometimes you don't have to pay it back at all. In other words, the fact that Hashem is Arech HaPayim, and He lets things slide and gives us opportunity to do tshuva, so we may not have to pay back at all sometimes, right? Maybe we could do tshuva before we have to pay it back, before we get punished for it.
That's the equivalent of the eye.
That's the equivalent, doing tshuva, paying money and doing the tshuva and getting mechila so that I don't have to lose the eye at all.
Because you are different.
Because that's the chesed of tshuva, that Hashem gave me a process by that's all the kaparos that you find in the tshuva, in the Torah. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but all the kapara that you find in the Torah, including Malchus in this past week's parsha, including Misas Beis Din, including all the kabbanos, are all for this cheshbon. When a person gets killed by Beis Din, he dies at tzaddik. Right? In other words, he pays back his debt by this. Right, he amassed a huge debt by that Chilul Shabbos or by that murder or whatever it is, and he pays it back with this brutal death, and then that's it. And then he dies at tzaddik. And so in the parsha last week, even by Malchus, a person does an avera and he gets Malchus. The pasuk says, the Chazal darshan, Kevin shenilka harezek achicha, because it says v'nilka achicha leinecha, your brother shall be smitten in front of your eyes. So Chazal say, what do you mean your brother? This guy's a Rasha. No, Kevan Shenilka Hareza Kachicha. After he received his beating, now he's like your brother. That absolves him. He paid it back, right? It's paid back. All the kaparos of the Torah are like this, and all the kaparos that we go through today, like Chazal tell us in the Gemara Sanhedrin that Afu Pisha Dalan Misos Bezdin Bitlu. Even though that Beis Din doesn't kill people anymore, but the Misa themselves didn't, and that's why people, a person who needs to die of skila will fall or get into an accident. All these things are still alive and well and functioning, and this is all the ma'arechet, this is all the system that Hashem has in place for us to be paying back for the averas that we did, right?
Or we can do tshuva.
Or tshuva, right? Or tshuva takes that place where, it's not always or. In other words, sometimes you need tshuva and yisurim. Maybe we'll see that next week. In the Rambam, tshuva doesn't always do it completely on its own. It can, but it doesn't always, etc. We'll see that. But the idea is that tshuva comes in, and tshuva is this tremendous chesed, like we said, that it lets us retroactively, literally, it's time travel. It's Back to the Future. We go back in time, and we're allowed to undo what we did. And it's mamish going to be this way. When we're going to watch the video in Shemayim after 120 years, and we're going to see the video of our life, and those things that we did tshuva for, they're going to look different in the video, right? The video is going to show them, if I did tshuva ya'ava, it's going to show them as me getting closer to Hashem, all these types of things. Okay, so this is, again, this is just like the introduction. This is the fundamental concept. This is what tshuva is.
You have to do tshuva for all your sins?
Yeah, you have to do tshuva for all your sins, yeah.
Okay. How?
Okay, well, so we'll get there in a minute. But that's the idea that Hashem gave us this gift of tshuva, which together with these other two gifts of rachamim, these other two gifts of arichas af, of giving us time and meting out our payments in doses that we can handle. This is the system that lets us mess up and still make our way back to Hashem and still be good Jews, even though we're constantly messing up. This is the system that Hashem has in place. Okay, and we know that tshuva, is an unbelievable thing, and we know that the Torah tells us, "B'makam shabali tshuva omdim," in a place where Baal tshuva stands, afilu tzadikim gemurim einam yecholom la'amod sham. Even a tzaddik gomer can't stand there because Chazal explained that it's like the letter Hey in the Torah, right? This is the Sefer Tomer Devorah. Moshe Cordovero speaks about this Chazal, that the Torah is like the life is like the letter Hey. What's the letter Hey? It's got a very big opening on the bottom, right? And if a person wants to leave the life of Torah and a person wants to go out the bottom, he's got plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of opportunity for a person to go off the derech. Nobody's forcing a person to stay in a life of Torah. It's totally patuach lamata. It's totally open on the bottom. But once a person goes down, right? So then they shouldn't think that there's no hope. As the Gemara says, but that's why there's an opening on the top of the hay. Right? The opening on the top of the hay is to give a person the opportunity for tshuva to crawl back in. As the Gemara says, let him go in the way that he came out. Right? He left out the bottom. Let him go back up through the bottom. So the Gemara says, lo mistaya milsa. That's not going to work. Right? If a person has failed in an area, a person was nichshel, a person stumbled and fell in an area. So now it's not enough just to try to go back to the way they were. Now they have to climb up into the window of the hay, right? They have to make themselves better in order to achieve that status of tshuva, right? That a person who was nichshel, a person who failed, they have to set up things for themselves that they're going to do better next time. They can't just say, I messed up, okay, now let's get back. No, we have to do some sort of a system to make myself better, and that's signified by climbing up in through the top of the hay, and that's what the Gemara says, because look where they are, they're all the way up there at the top of the hay. Right? The tzaddikim are not all the way up there, because they never had to go up there. The tzaddikim could be all the way down towards the bottom, because to them the bottom is as safe as the top. But a Baal Tshuva who fell out the bottom already, who's forced to now prove himself and build himself up and go up through the top, so he's in a higher makom. That's what it says. But
didn't Adam Arishon have that kavanah?
Okay, I don't want to get to Arishon.
That's a big one, though.
Of course, a big one.
It's a huge one.
But I don't want to get into it.
It changed everything because he wanted to be a Baal Tshuva.
No, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared for that. I'm not prepared for that.
It's a huge.
That's why sometimes the Baal Tshuva are more fanatic than.
That's for sure, yeah, because of this thing that they have to.
So they have to
build
be more
themselves up.
fanatic.
Yeah, in a good way, in a healthy good way. That doesn't mean in a bad way.
No, but there's
in a healthy good way.
Yetzer Haras
Yeah, but there's an idea, right? There's especially Yitzhara that affects, to try to get people too crazy. But that's the idea. That's the idea that the B'makom Shvali Tshuva Omdim. The Rambam brings this. The Rambam says
which Gemara is it?
that
The Hay?
sorry,
Which Gemara?
the Gemara is it's in Menachos. I don't remember the daf offhand. The Gemara Menachos. I'll tell you after. Yeah, I'll tell you afterwards. It's in the Tomer Devorah, Sefer Tomer Devorah, in the Midah of Yashuv Yerachamenu. He goes through all the midos, and the midah of Yashuv Yerachamenu. This is what he says. This idea that b'makom shvali tshuva omdim, that Hashem b'makom shvali tshuva omdim, that's what happened. Okay, anyway, I was just bringing this in to show that bali tshuva are it's a big deal to do tshuva. A person is in a new level before the Rambam. I mean, I could just read you the Rambam writes.
Where's the ger in this? Where's the ger in this discussion? He doesn't fall out ever, and he never climbs down. The ger is considered even more than the Baal Tshuva.
Okay,
No,
it's a different thing. He was not mechuyev, right? I'm saying he was not.
But
He was not mechuyev to do it from before.
Same nisayon, and you will stand the nisayon, and that's it. That's tshuva.
No, so the Rambam right here in the beginning of Perek Beis, this is what he says. The Rambam says, so what is a case of tshuva? What is a case of tshuva gemuras? The Rambam says, like you were saying, a person is in the same place with the same abilities and the same everything, and he doesn't do the avera. Yeah, but the whole point is that in order for a person to do that and not do the avera, they have to be a bigger person than they were before. They have to make themselves into a bigger person now than they were before, because before they were in the same place and they failed, right? So for me to stand in the same place and not fail, obviously I've built myself into something stronger and bigger than I was before.
It's only not aseh, right? It's not aseh.
No, also, for sure. A person who violates an aseh it's also an avera. If a person, it's not counted as a lav. It's not. It's an aseh, but it's the same. Thing as far as the cheshbonot go, it's the same idea. I'm sorry? The sayon is to not do it. Don't put on tefillin. Don't get up to daven today. Don't make that bracha. Be lazy. I have a big yitzhara in the mitzvahs. To be lazy is like the biggest yitzhara. Okay, and we also know, again, just like kind of reviewing here, just the basic points of tshuva, just, because we have to remind ourselves every year these things. Before I get to the point I want to get to, the basic idea, umahi tshuva. The Rambam tells us what is tshuva, like you said. What is it? What does it mean? Hu shiyazo v'chotei. Number one, I have to leave the avera. I have to stop doing it. That's number one, obviously, right? The famous idea of a tovel v'sheret biyado, a person who goes into the mikvah but he's holding something tamei in his hand. That's a person who says he's doing tshuva, but he's going to continue doing that same avera. A person has to commit to not doing that avera. Number two. A person has to have regret for what they did, have to have charata for what they did in the past. Again, I don't want to get all on a side track of this, but this is something we've discussed here in the past also, and discussed with Poskin and Rabbanim, that this idea of charata, it doesn't mean that I have to convince myself that it wasn't fun. What I did, people did things and they enjoyed themselves, and sometimes people did things that were not right, but that's part of who made them who they are today, and then they became frum and became Bali Tshuva. So what does it mean to regret ever having done it? No, but the idea is that if I knew what this was doing to me spiritually, if I knew what this was doing to my relationship with Hashem, then I never would have done it. So that's charata, that's what it counts. Yeah, and finally, mitzarach lehizvados, you have to say vidu, you have to verbally express this to Hashem, which is what we say with the al-chetz and the ashamnu, and all those things. But that's the process of
I never understood why charata is second. Why isn't charata after vidui? Because you're going to say it in vidui. You're going to regret verbally. Is charata in your...
Well, I think first you have to actually regret it before you express it.
What?
If you're expressing
emotionally.
it first, you have to first feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. And then you say, oh boy, I'm sorry. If I do something wrong to my wife, and I say sorry before I really feel that I did it, that's a fake apology, right? So first I have to realize what the sin is and leave it. Then I have to feel bad, and oh boy, I can't believe what this sin did to me and how far it made me from God, etc. And then I have to tell Hashem, no, I want to be back, I want to come back, etc. And then there's the famous thing, which also I don't want to get into now, maybe we'll spend another week on this, because this is one of the most important aspects of tshuva, but the Rambam says there has to be shiyoid alav yodea talumos, that you're never going to return to that. It has to be that Hashem would testify that you'll never go back to this sin again. So this is one of those big questions in tshuva. Does that mean that if I've never really done tshuva on lashon hara? because every time I do tshuva and then I go ahead and I speak lashon hara again, so that it undoes all of my tshuva. Okay, I don't want to get into that now, but it's a cliffhanger, important question that makes tshuva sound very difficult if that's the case. But I don't want to get into that now. Anyway, so that's what the Rambam says. But if a person goes through this process, and now you asked before, does it have to be on every Avera? The answer is yes, but it doesn't mean it has to be on every Avera, like literally I have to go through my day, okay, Sunday, oh boy, 7 a.m., I already think I said Ashi Yotzer without Kavana. Let's mark that one down. And okay, Hashem, please forgive me for that. And, obviously, anytime a person knows that they did an Avera, let's say a person knows that they just messed up, so you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to feel bad and tell Hashem, I wish I wasn't supposed to. I wonder what it's going to sound like on the video. It's going to wake some people up in the middle. Yeah, so people, if
didn't need it.
Yes.
It's not even falling down.
So
there's no service down here.
What was I just saying? I don't know. What I just I lost my train of thought. Anyways, that's what I said. Okay, so that's the idea. So I was saying, you have to do every single specific avera, but we know from the Chazal in many different places, different stories that tell us, that Rabbi Lazar Bar Durdai, all different things that a person just did like a general tshuva and died as a Baal tshuva. In other words, Hashem knows how these things work. If a person on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur this time of year rededicates his life to Hashem and says, Hashem, all of these averas, I can't keep track of them, but I don't want to do them. That counts. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to literally make a checklist of every single sin he did. But if a person knows of a specific avera they did, then they should do tshuva on that specific avera for sure.
All of the davening in Yom Kippur is in the plural.
Right.
Apart from the little section at the end of each Shemon Esrei.
Right.
We daven, we say tshuva in the plural, but how can you make tshuva for someone else?
Okay, I don't know either. I don't know.
Well, how? Why is it in the plural?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hashamnu, bagadnu. I can't say anything for Yaniv. I wasn't there.
No, it certainly doesn't work. It certainly doesn't count. I don't know why it's. I mean, all of our davening is written down because you're always supposed to be kolel your tefillah with the tefillah of the rabbi.
Not all of us have committed each one of those averas. So
right, that's for sure. They say.
It's to connect us, but to actually do tshuva.
It doesn't work. If you do tshuva and you're saying al chayit, and I'm just sitting here and I'm saying like, okay, he's saying it for me. That's mean. Obviously it's meaningless.
Right.
Why is it
the situation of the embarrassment of the person next to you saying, I did this, and you're like, wait, I didn't do that one.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's written in that nusach in general. That's it. Okay. So I want to now pull up to a particular halacha, which is what I wanted to get to. Which after all of these things, when you're learning, tshuvas is cleansing, and this process, and that a person, a person gets closer to Hashem, and all of these things.
Rabbi Tatz actually says you have to do tshuva in the singular on Yom Kippur as well.
Okay.
Just to put that in there, as well as the Shemon Esrei. It's a fine time on Yom Kippur
to say for yourself.
So I usually just do it in the singular, like the same list. And
so he says like this. The Rambam says here in Perek Beis in Hilchos Tshuva, halacha ches. It says a very strange halacha. Okay, now after we said this whole thing, right, again, we're cleansed, and Hashem, right, the psukim that we say on Yom Kippur, Ashreichem Yisrael lefnei mi atem mitarim umi mitayar eschem avinu shebeshamayim, right? Ashreinu Yisrael, you're so lucky, Klal Yisrael, who purifies you, and in front of whom are you purified? In front of Hashem. All these psukim that tell us, about how Hashem is purifying him. You chateichem kashanim kasheleg yalbinu, right? If your sins will be like crimson, I'm going to turn them white. There's so many psukim, so many Mamar Chazal that speak about tshuva and cleanliness and what a high madrega it is. But then we come to this interesting halacha, and it says like this: Averos shehisvada aleihem beyom kippurim zeh. Averos that I've done vidui and tshuva for this year. Choser umizvada aleihem beyom kippurim acher. Afal pi shehu omed b'tshuvaso. Right? Averos that I have
already
done,
did tshuva for,
and I've done tshuva already this year.
Go do it again.
Go ahead and do tshuva for them again next year, even though even though I've not done that avera again. Right? That's a person was nichshol many times in eating non-kosher food, And finally, year after year, he struggled and battled himself, failed and failed. Finally, in Tufshin Ayin Aleph, 6 years ago, finally, that was the year he did tshuva for eating non-kosher food, and he went a whole year, only kosher food, and only mahajin hechsherim and everything. And Tufshin Ayin Beis and Gimel and Dalet, and hey, all these years, right? And now he's coming to to Yom Kippur again. It was Al Chet Shechadar Levnecha B'Machal B'Mishta, right, with food and drink. And even though I'm totally clean from this Aveira, I've done complete tshuva for this Aveira, right? The Rambam says, go ahead and do it again. Shnemar, and he quotes a pasuk in Tehillim. Ki pishai ani eda v'chatasi negdi tamid. I know my sins, says David HaMelech. V'chatasai negdi tamid. My sins are constantly in front of my eyes. That's what the pasuk says. And this is brought the halacha. The Mishnah Berurah quotes this halacha in the halachas of Yom Kippur. There's all sorts of things that a person has to do Erev Yom Kippur.
You're saying it's like it feels like something unnecessary if you've gone through the process.
Well, not just unnecessary.
Pointless.
Not just pointless, but like it undermines the whole thing.
Right.
The whole point of tshuva is I'm a Bria Chadasha, I'm a new man, right? I'm a clean person, a clean slate coming out of Yom Kippur, in the Ila, I come home and I'm making Avdallah and I feel great and I'm cleansed, and then I'm told no, next year, do it again and do it again and do it again. Well,
right.
So what did I do last year? And what I do, what was that clean feeling that I came home with last year? If now I'm told I have to go back and go ahead and do it again.
Also contrary to what you said, that you're not allowed to tell about Shuvah, about his previous sins.
Oh, very good. I want to get to that. Excellent. Well, if there's time, I want to get to that. There's an interesting halacha about that. Excellent. Yeah, but here we're telling us we do it. It's like not nice. It's like not nice.
So the obvious simple thing to say, which is probably
I
wrong,
don't remember any of yours.
is that just in case.
Mandarin.
That's the most obvious, simple.
Okay, but let's say there's one specific Aveira that a person knows that they did, and that's clearly what he's talking about, even a specific thing. Right. And it's brought down la halacha, Tafrei Zayin, Siv Dalet, Avonos shehizvada aleim b'yom kippurim sha'avar v'lo shina aleim, hafilu hachi yochel lachzer v'lasvados aleim. He's allowed to go ahead. That's interesting. The Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch is he's allowed to go ahead and do it again, but the Mishnah Berurah doesn't say not that he's allowed to. Because Gemara come out, it's nice. It's the right thing to do. I mean, it's brought down the halacha that he could. It doesn't say that your tshuva didn't work last year. That would be, but it's still something about this halacha that rubs me the wrong way, right? Like, is
it talking about tshuva me'ava? Is that where it's coming from?
It's not specifying. So I want to talk about that. I want to address that nekuda. But
it's like al tamid batzmecha ad yom motcha.
That what? That is what I think Dave was saying this before. That what?
That even though for 6 years you were clean, you still had this tendency to be
Shabbat. But let's say it's really, let's say like it's an Aveira I did one time. Let's say like Mamish Aveira. Let's say I have kept kosher my whole life, and one time I was traveling and who knows what. And one time I just ate treif and I couldn't believe it afterwards, and I felt so bad afterwards and everything. And I did tshuva that year and another year. So
you have a certain weak points.
Okay, I hear that. You could say it also. Okay, I mean obviously the answer is going to have to come from something like this, some sort of idea. But this is what the Shulchan Aruch says, and again the Mishnah writes, "Hareizim meshubach." It's an appropriate thing to do. That my veras are always there in front of me. So I want to just to use this as an introduction to Elul and Teshuva to understand a fundamental point, and then then maybe next week we'll move on to other topics within Teshuva. So the way I want to try to express this is as follows. A number of years ago, it could be I told you guys this also at some point or another. A number of years ago, it was already probably over 10 years ago. There was one Elul Zman in particular that I was learning I was in Cole in Chicago at the time. And the Sefer Shari Tshuva from Rabbeinu Yonah is like one of the gates of repentance. It's like one of the most popular svarim on Tshuva and the whole concept of Tshuva, and it's quoted extensively. And I was learning that Sefer that particular year, and I was a shtickle overwhelmed. I was just like a little bit overwhelmed by how not plausible it is to really feel all of these ways and to really go, the way that the Tshuva process is described and the depths of despair that Rabbeinu Yonah expresses, and all of these things are
beyond us.
So beyond us that I used the following lashon. I remember I called up one of my rebbeim, Rav Shmuel Irons in Detroit. I called him up and I said to him, I was like, how could you really take the Sefer seriously and then go to sleep at night?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
You'd be so guilty, wrapped with guilt. And the impossibility.
And then
of the
if not, so then what am I doing? Like I'm reading the Sefer and like it's not real, so I was very troubled by this one particular year. And
he said the same about the Ramchal also.
So it's about everything.
I don't know. I don't think that. I don't feel the same way about the Ramchal. I don't feel the same way from the way that at least going through the first chapters, at least of Mesilas Yesharim, it's talking about madrigas ultimately that are very, very high, but he's talking about things, being careful in Averas, and he's not talking about these powerful, potent, emotional, eruptions of emotion over Averas and Yagon and Anacha and all sorts of things that Shari Teshuva speaks about. Right. So he said an unbelievable thing to Mir Irons. He's an incredible person. He said an unbelievable thing. He said Rabbeinu Yonah, Shari Teshuva should be written as an autobiography of a person who was in a relationship with Hashem. Here's a person who was in a relationship with Hashem. He said, when a person's in a relationship, you don't need a sefer or a musar shmuz to feel bad about doing something wrong.
You're just in love.
You're in love, and I can't believe I failed you like that. I can't believe I let you down.
An outpouring of emotion.
If a husband is supposed to pick up his wife, and he leaves her out in the rain and all these things, and he needs somebody to explain to him why he should feel bad about that, he's not very much of a husband. I'm saying he's missing a huge point of what it means to be a husband. Right? Even if he ends up feeling bad about it, even if he ends up feeling bad about leaving his wife there, but that's not a husband that's in a relationship with his wife of love and care and concern and investment and oh my gosh, I can't believe I did something wrong. So
didn't that strengthen your question? His answer strengthened your question.
No, so he says lehefech. He said lehefech that it's true. So for people like us, that are not on a madrigo, that have this type of relationship, he said on the contrary. This I for sure have mentioned this to you guys in the past. That's what he said to learn the Sefer Tomer Devorah during Elul. That's what he held. The Sefer Tomer Devorah was a very powerful sefer to learn during Elul, because Tomer Devorah is a sefer that focuses on the unbelievable bond and relationship and love that exists between Hashem and Klal Yisrael, and the unbelievable. We learned it was Elul a few years back that we started learning it here. It's on YouTube. I have shiurim on YouTube of the first chunk of the sefer. But that's what he told me. He said it's a very small sefer. Yeah, small in the words, but in the power, it's incredible. And he said we did bits and pieces. We did pieces of it. But that's what he said to me. He said to me, it's true to try to achieve the levels of Rabbeinu Yonah's involvement by jumping in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Okay, I'm here to do tshuva. I'm here to feel bad for all my averas. It's missing the point. It's missing the whole point. And what are you building yourself up to? He said, a person has to realize I'm in a relationship with Hashem. I have a kesher with Hashem. It matters. My interactions with Hashem matter. Hashem cares about me and the things that I do and how I do them. And if I let him down, I feel bad naturally. I don't have to learn about it. That's what we're supposed to be striving for in Elul. With this idea, I think it's a beautiful thing now. This idea of doing vidui over and over and over. There's a famous story like this that they say about Rav Sadia Gaon. Rav Sadia Gaon every day used to do all of these things. He used to roll around in the ice and the snow and do all these sigufim, physically afflict himself in order to try to attain higher spiritual levels. We don't do these things.
And Rabbi Nachman the same, they say.
Yeah, a lot of tzaddikim do these things. So his talmidim asked him, Rebbe, we've been watching you all day. You didn't do any averas. What are you doing all this tshuva for? Rolling it. So he said, if you knew how much less I loved Hashem yesterday than today, you would also see how much tshuva I needed to do. That's what he said. Every day he felt, I don't know, maybe it's an exaggeration, whatever it was, but every day he felt he had a new, deep appreciation of Hashem, and he had to express it by saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't take you seriously enough yesterday. So I think it's the same thing with our Averas. As a person grows, like you were saying from the beginning, Tshuva Me'ava, as a person grows in their relationship with Hashem, so I did something bad some years ago, I ate some treif, all right, so I felt bad about it. But this year, now I understand this about Hashem. Now I appreciate that Hashem has done this for me, and even though He does this, I still ate that treif. I can't believe it. I have to do tshuva again.
Heavily psychological.
That's the idea. And the more that I am building on my relationship with Hashem, the more I'm naturally gonna continue to do tshuva for those things, because the more I appreciate.
Because you're more in
realize-
love.
Exactly, I'm more in love, and the more I appreciate how much everything matters and how much everything counts and how much and it's not. So I think it's a beautiful halacha.
Right.
It's on the contrary. It's not telling me that my tshuva wasn't worth it last year and I didn't accomplish anything last year and I better do it again because maybe I didn't do it just in case. No, on the contrary. The more in love that I am and the more that my relationship deepens and the more that my bond strengthens, the more I'm naturally going to appreciate and realize that I need to be doing more to connect myself to you, Hashem. I need to get rid of that Aveira that much more. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that much more. And it's something that comes naturally as an expression of. That's why it's Harizim Meshubach. It's a praiseworthy thing because it shows that I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer to Hashem, and therefore I want to fix myself up more. So I think it's a good halacha to start with, a good point to start with in terms of tshuva, to understand that again what we're trying to work on over here is not some fake external construct. We're supposed to be thinking about that paradigm. If I'm in a close friendship with somebody, if I'm in a close relationship with somebody, and I wrong them, and I mess up, and I do something, I slap them in the face, I take advantage of them, I use what they give me against them, all of these things, right? So I feel bad naturally. I don't need to get a Musar Seder for that. That's what we're striving for. So the Elul is a time ani l'dodi v'dodi li, right? We're talking about our relationship, our kesher with Hashem, our yachas, our interaction, and the Merit Hashem. When we strengthen that and we build that and we focus how much Hashem loves us and all these things. Then we go into Rosh Hashanah and we really, are standing from a point of being able to have some charata in a real way and not have to convince ourselves to feel bad.
Right.
Okay, Merit Hashem will continue with more ideas in tshuva going forward.